Good morning. Creative Mornings, San Francisco. You guys look so good. Thank you so much for this moment, Rita. Creative Mornings, San Francisco team. Thank you for the opportunity to break in the new space, wear some color. I look like the murals on the outside on purpose. No. Thank you for this opportunity to practice what I'm not going to preach, but what we're going to talk about. Being in this moment, nervous, insecure, excited, happy. I've got a chance to close my eyes twice in a group of strangers and hug a couple really cute men. Already a success, so thank you so much. I'm a molecular biologist, so I had to start with my roots, right? In biology, we're taught that the basic unit of life, the smallest structural way we organize an organism, is the cell. And the cell is crowded, it's complicated. Some of them can be packed and very important. And I invite you to think of moments in the same light. That our moments, plus our moments, plus our moments, plus our moments, equal life. And today I've organized my STEM journey, science, technology, engineering, and math. And I've anchored them. I've anchored the talk by quotes that are connected to some pivotal moments that I've had, right? Some of them were transformative. Some of them were inspiring. Some of them were devastating. There was joy. I'm going to pour it all out. We're going to talk about it, share it. And I just invite you, challenge you to be thinking about how can you be in the moment today? What can we do today, right? To inspire, to challenge, to create, to manifest, to rebuild. So thank you. So some of my earliest memories are, let's see, go like this, there we go. Include moments where my mother, hey mom, would say this to me all the time. So as Rita said, I'm from San Francisco. I went to Lakeshore, went to Lowell, went to City College of San Francisco before transferring to Howard University and then going to Johns Hopkins. And I remember when we were in the Richmond district, my mom would say, "You're gonna make a great scientist. You do so well in math and science. You're gonna make a great scientist." She would say it all the time. And while I was in elementary school, she would just, any test that came back, she's like, "See, you're gonna be a great scientist." And you know how it is when you have a role model that tells you, affirms you, tells you that you have what it takes. Dang, I trusted her, right? So I started to believe her. And so this moment really set the tone and the theme for my academic journey, helping me to develop my passion for changing the stereotyped image, race, gender of what STEM professionals look like, and was really pivotal for the rest of this talk. So Dad is here also. Hey, Dad. And I can remember as our family was growing, there was a time where I have 4 sisters, where 2 of us, well, three of us at the time, were in the same bedroom, 3 twin beds, and my dad would come in every morning and wake us up. And he'd come in and he'd be like, hit the wall. "Get up! Welcome to your brand new day. Fresh, new and unused, never before seen. It's time for you to manifest. What do you want this day to do? What do you want this day to hold? You have the power." And in this moment, my father taught us, but in particular me, the power of being able to visualize and just settle into, what do I want? What do I want? So as I grew up here in the city, some of you may know Lowell High School is not diverse. And I often found myself in high school being the race representative. Oh, happy Black History Month, everybody. And I was always, 17-year-old me being asked, like, so what do black people think? How do you answer that, right? So I really, really wanted to just disappear. And so jerk is not, that's me, Jennifer R. Cohen. I remember saying to my counselor that I just want to disappear in a sea of black and brown faces. I don't want to stand out. I want to be invisible. And I got just that when I enrolled at Howard University, which is a historically black college and university in Washington, D.C. And that was my first opportunity to not stand out, not be the only brown face in the crowd, and to really just start to discover myself. I was no longer Everett and Loretta's little girl, second born, or I was no longer Malia's little sister. I had a chance to really develop my own sense of self, figure out if I trust myself, am I trustworthy? And that was a fantastic experience. And also my time at Howard was the first time that I was taught by professors who were actively contributing to science, right? All this time I had always wanted to be a scientist. Mom was a stay-at-home mom. So it's not like we knew scientists. It's not like I had access to people who were like, yep, you got what it takes. I took the word of a housewife, and I'm so grateful that I did. But the opportunity to be at Howard and to be taught and surrounded by people who looked like me was incredibly powerful and really did set me up for some strength that I needed as I moved forward. One of my champions, Dr. Clarence Lee, he's a pathobiologist at Howard, immunopathobiologist, and after graduating, he's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm looking for a job. No one will hire me. They want me to have a master's or like 5 years equivalent. And he's like, no. Here's what you need to do. You got to go to grad school. So I had a role model to demystify that path, right? He told me, Hopkins is having a day of science. You should go up and check it out. I can't go to Hopkins? What are you talking about? Baltimore? I'm not going to Baltimore. No, you should check it out. So I did. I hopped on the train, 45 minutes from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore, and I'm so glad that I did, right? In that moment, I could not picture myself being accepted, excelling, and eventually graduating. Once I went, I just checked it out, just go listen to the pitch. I was so glad that I did because I was hooked. I found out there was an umbrella program that was tailored to my interests. I was chasing that moment where you're the only person in the world who knows something new. And that was really what was the original passion to go into science, was to add value to society, to create wisdom, create knowledge. And so I enrolled, and the first thing anyone ever said to me was, wait, you're not what I was expecting. And this quote really did set the tone for what the next 6.5 years at Hopkins was like. And I don't know if it was, last name Cohen, and then surprise. I never did ask him. We're going to call him anti-mentor. You've met an anti-mentor, someone who's in a position to mentor you. I never did ask him, what do you mean? I just kind of assumed and internalized that, and that just added that to my imposter syndrome. And but this moment really did teach me the power of influence. And in this moment, I felt so defeated, like, doubt. And the next couple of moments that I'm going to share with you, mind you, this is 6.5 years. We're going to fast forward a little bit, are a little bit more of that opportunities to feel doubt. So Dr. So-and-so, you don't have what it takes. What's your plan B? I would hear this all the time. Now, mind you, at Hopkins, there were many moments where I was the only person of color on the floor in an entire building that wasn't there to clean a toilet. There were no professors of color, very few women. And to hear, after 20 plus years of you've got what it takes and experiences in STEM and doing research that confirmed, yep, I've got good hands, I can do this, I can think critically, to hear one person say, you don't have what it takes, really did stick to me. And some of those bruises are still with me, so I'm happy to share them with you in this morning. But hearing that you don't have what it takes, what's your plan B? When plan A is plan B. What do we do with those, right? Progressing in my graduate career, I'm still in that same thesis lab, and it's time to qualify to move forward in the doctoral process. And there's an oral component and a written component. And one of the committee members, after a 2.5-hour oral test, testing the breadth and depth of my knowledge, covering the first 2.5 years of graduate school, came out. So it's a small room, committee room. They ask you to leave the room afterwards. So you're outside. There I was outside. And I really felt like they were in there for another 2.5 hours, right? Come out, they come invite me back in, and they say, you did excellent on the written portion. I really wish I had grad students that could write like you, but we're really not convinced when it comes to you being able to talk, you being able to share. So we're going to give you a conditional pass. Come back in 6 months, we'll do this again. So this was the first moment in my adult life where I had really tried, like really studied, really tried to do something, really tried to accomplish a goal and did not meet the goal. This is my first opportunity of adult failure. And I'm not saying that mom and dad, that the childhood was a whole bunch of wins and everything was going my way, but have you ever really tried and then didn't get it? Or really worked hard towards a goal and didn't accomplish that goal? This impacted me in a way that still I think about this often, what it's like to fail. Failure, perceived or real, is an opportunity to be uncomfortable and to rebuild. And so I studied a different way, came back. Well, I mean, you know how the story ends. They call me doctor. 6 months later, I've passed the exam. I'm working. I'm liking my project and having a really difficult time with my mentor, anti-mentor. And she says to me, "Here, close the door." Nothing good comes after that, right? And nothing good did. I've decided that you can no longer work in my lab. I was a 5th-year graduate student. It was unheard of. Essentially, she fired me, right? What's my plan B? Maybe she was trying to prepare me by asking me all those years, what's your plan B? Because I didn't have a plan B. No one gets fired from grad school. How do I explain this to mom and dad? Like, what does this mean? Like, are you gonna kick me out? Like, I gotta go home? Blindsided, I didn't see it coming. I knew we had a tough time, but I was being productive with the research. I had switched my days where I would work all through the night and sleep during the day just to avoid interaction. This was a large lab, well-funded mentor, and I would sweat when we interacted. I would stutter, and during our weekly lab meetings, she would say, "You don't have what it takes. Go back again. I think that's flawed." Really challenging me. But so here we are, and she's like, "You're out." So of course, the first thing I did was went to the bathroom. I cried. And I was sobbing so loudly I had to go to my car, and I just screamed and just let it all out. In that moment, I was devastated. This moment knocked me off of my feet and onto my couch, where I stayed for the next 2 weeks and experienced my first clinical depression. And the next thing I heard from mom and dad were, we're on our way. A moment of support, reconnection. And they came out and they stayed with me. It was great because, one, I got to pretend that I was an only child and mom was cooking and we were eating. It was great. You know, second born problems. They came out and we prayed together. We ate together. They nursed me back to myself, and I was ready. Once I was restored, I went back to school with the new mindset of gratitude. But what's coming? This is not the end of the story, right? And I started to shop. Okay, so I'm going to leave molecular biology and cell biology department, and I'm going to join another department. Cell biology looks good. Always been very, very interested in looking at cells under the microscope. It's very similar to looking at the stars. It's stunning. And I was talking with a mentor. Carolyn is still my champion. And she said to me, it would be an honor to train you. Join my lab. And this moment was a moment of joy. You know, I have a direction. But I told her, and I remember very clearly saying, okay, but I don't have another 5 years in me. I cannot stay in this training. What makes STEM education complicated, a lot of times for people who identify as minorities, is having that minority status while learning the language of science. And Carolyn was like, no problem, we will write out what milestones you need to accomplish in order to graduate. When are you thinking? And so I was like, December 2010. And she's like, I can't recommend that. That's unheard of. And a year and a half, you want to finish start in a new department, start a new project, and finish your PhD. Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want to do. 6.5 years, I can't go further. She believed in me. We wrote out a plan. I posted that plan on my bench. And every time, every experiment, every day, I was accomplishing goals. I did not let a night or a day go unwasted. If I could, I was incubating overnight. If I could, I was making sure that taking care of business, every day counted. And I still have that paper. It's all crossed out and ticked, it's worn. But that moment really did teach me the importance of role modeling, the importance of setting goals, the importance of charting your progress as you go. Second champion of mine is Dr. Danny Teraguchi, who throughout this graduate training recognized my passion for diversity and inclusion, for STEM education and outreach. I was always on the side organizing lab tours for middle school students and high school students in the Baltimore area. Really enjoyed that, but doing it as a side project to kind of stay sane while I'm finishing my degree. And he said to me, you have a unique skill set for generating synergy and building communities in places. Test it. Create a model and then test it. And I did just that. And that opportunity, I believe, has led me to be able to share this morning with you, because I left science after graduating. I discovered the story is complete. I contributed as I needed to, and as I wanted to science, discovering a targeting signal for a viral protein. I did a postdoc. And then I came out here last February, where now I'm able to fulfill my passion by changing the stereotype image of STEM through running a college prep program for students of color here in the Bay Area to get them exposed, excited, and prepared to be successful as STEM majors in college and beyond in STEM careers. So these defining moments they've been sticky. Some of them have stuck to me, both positive and negative. You know how it is if the right person says the right thing at the right time. and how it is when the wrong person says the wrong thing at the wrong time. These moments have been defining because they've been squiggly, and I encourage us to surrender to the squiggle. It doesn't have to be a straight line. It doesn't have to be what you predicted. It's not, this life is not linear. And that these defining moments have really been powerful magnets that have pulled me, dragged me forward. In this moment, even if you can't see it, this is for good. Whether it's a challenging moment, an opportunity to grow, to be uncomfortable, you're always moving forward. So please today, I challenge you to take a moment to think about how you can be creative. How will you inspire? How will you manifest your will for your life, your legacy? Thank you.